watching.
Subscribe.
Hello, you're watching ScreenStalker. I'm Laurie Blake, and the Game of Thrones Season 8 finale is so nearly here, you can almost taste it. It tastes like ash. Because while Season 8 has had some of the biggest set pieces in the show's history and some amazing dramatic moments, plenty of people have not been very happy with it. So much so that 650,000 people have even signed a Change.org petition to have the entire series remade with new writers, as many believe Benioff and Weiss have lost their way after running out of source material from George R.R. Martin, who just can't write books quickly. Now, this petition definitely feels a bit impotent, because no matter how many signatures it gets, there is absolutely no way the season will be reshot. But there are certainly some aspects of this rushed and clumsy season that are worth being angry about. Not enough to sign a petition, but enough to gather them in video form. So here are the worst mistakes Game of Thrones Season 8 made. We'll start with one of the most fun, because after the episode-long battle in episode 3 of this season, it looks like some of the cast were feeling the effects of the long night and were in need of some caffeine, because eagle-eyed fans spotted a Starbucks coffee on the table in front of Daenerys at the victory feast in the last of the Starks episode. Well, I'd love to see how Starbucks staff butchered her name when she ordered that one. Pumpkin spice latte for Danny Reese, Tanya Gary. Now, executive producer on the show, Bernie Caulfield, admitted that the cup was an out-and-out mistake rather than a clever bit of product placement. And the Game of Thrones Twitter account also admitted that it was a mistake, because Danny had actually ordered a herbal tea. It's just a silly mistake. We all love Game of Thrones. I'm sure nobody would be mad at that. Oh. Now, the Starbucks cup certainly trained people into looking out for errors on the prop and continuity side of the show, so it seemed rather obvious and indicative of the program's overall decline when, during the least popular episode of the series yet, The Bells, Jaime Lannister seemed to have magically grown his right hand back. At least that's what everyone was saying when this image of Jaime and Cersei hugging in the crypts below the Red Keep started doing the rounds. Could have only been worse if his regrown right hand was holding an espresso or a tiny little cinnamon Danish. Thankfully, there was no such mistake in the episode itself, because fact-checking fans went back and watched to make sure and discovered that Jaime's gold-plated hand was all present and correct. The image had in fact come from some set photography promo materials for the episode circulated by HBO, who naturally, really rather abruptly, stopped circulating it after the mistake was pointed out. Because second to doing the right thing is stopping doing the wrong thing as quickly as possible. But with that mistake not actually making it into the episode, that means that there was only one less thing for fans to be annoyed about from the lowest rated episode in the series history, and not even the most galling thing for them about this whole scene with Cersei below the Red Keep. Because many fans think it was a mistake to have Jaime Lannister run back to Cersei, denouncing all of the character development he's had over the past few seasons and reverting to the same old selfish, horny for his sister Lannister we met in Season 1. Now, this seeming ending for Jaime feels really rather unearned and goes against everything he has done in the past few seasons to reform himself. Now, while there is a certain poetry to the pair going out together, as they definitely came into the world together and have been sibling lovers, gross, for a long time, but Cersei just remained a bee for a long time in the series, whereas Jaime seemed to have moved past his puppy dog love for his sister and become a different man. Not only that, but his plan to get back to King's Landing was absolutely bobbins. Was he just going to ride through the cordon going, "Not Jaime Lannister, you can't see me. Ah, the hand, gives it away." Now, to jump back again to the long night, the fight against the looming darkness that has been hanging over Game of Thrones since the opening of the very first episode. Now, not only did it feel like a mistake to have such a short series of the show, only 6 episodes featuring huge conflicts with 2 separate primary antagonists, Cersei and the Night King, but it also meant that this winter that has been coming forever actually only lasted 1 night. And to be fair, it was a pretty epic night, the bits that you could see of it anyway, because Game of Thrones definitely kind of has a reputation for shooting stuff real dark. So dark that no matter if I draw the blinds, turn the lights out and turn the brightness up on the TV, I usually only see a reflection of myself in the screen going, what the hell is happening? Well, this episode was that turn up to 11, because not only was it dark, but it was covered in effects, which obscured the action even further, be that orangey haze from the fires, a full-on blizzard, or just blood. Copper-smelling blood. Zombie blood. 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 And bits of sick. Now, something that could have used some effects was the scene in which Cersei just casually had Missandei killed in front of Daenerys and Grey Worm at the gates to King's Landing. Because in previous views of the southern capital, we've seen that the city is supposed to be surrounded by water and lush green forests. So where in the hell is this barren desert that Dany just parks her dragon on? And yes, the title sequence of the show suggests that the capital is more inland and surrounded by barren wastes. But having seen the capital in the show, somewhere that looks something akin to an Italian city during the Renaissance period, it's weird that there's such a desert at the front gate. Another mistake to do with King's Landing, or more specifically the attack on it launched by Daenerys and Drogon, is just how powerful are dragons. Because in episode 4, Dany loses Rhaegal to a couple of well-placed scorpion bolts from the improbably sneaky Iron Fleet. Meanwhile, in episode 5, she manages to explode the fleet, who can't hit the broadside of a barn, seemingly, with just Drogon. She then takes out every weapon on the city walls, defeats the Golden Company, who are an absolute joke, and torches the entire capital on her Todd just because she came out of a cloud. This just suggests that she could have just taken the city on her own ages ago. Why does she even need an army? And that's the problem, is because the yo-yoing power of the dragons in this series has been all over the place, and it makes it difficult to understand what is a risk, what isn't, and even work out who has the upper hand, because I thought that Dany and the crew were meant to be on the back foot after losing so many people during the Battle of Winterfell. But no, one dragon sorts it all out. And obviously the dragon power boost is just a convenient plot device to quickly dispatch the King's Guard and win the day for Dany, making the wider point that she's gone completely bonkers. But one of the biggest mistakes of this season has been the level of convenience of some of the action. Of course it was easy to wipe out the Golden Company and the Ballista and the Iron Fleet. The Iron Fleet, who seemingly can be wherever they need to be in the world for the plot. People can just hop, skip and jump all the way to King's Landing in a matter of moments. People like Varys suddenly make very stupid moves to expose themselves and get burned, so we can very quickly ramp up Dany's heel turn. There has just been too much convenience in a series that usually spends absolutely ages working on every twist or development, teasing out every little feeling until you know that it was the only choice left for a character, or you can see all of the internal workings of somebody's mind. This exact thing is exemplified in The Bells by the moment in which Euron Greyjoy literally walks out of the sea like Captain Jack Sparrow and just challenges Jaime to a duel. It was like they went, well, we need them to have a duel, so why not just have him wash up on that exact secret beach? Which leads to the worst mistake the series made, turning Dany heel. While to my mind this has been on the cards the entire time with Ms. Targaryen, but to the minds of many fans, she was the central character. She was the one traveling around the world of Westeros and Essos, attempting to make it better and make up for some of the sins of her father. Now, there's always the age-old adage that absolute power corrupts absolutely, but maybe in this case, it just shouldn't have. One, because it doesn't feel earned. There have been hints of Dany's darker streak throughout the series, but she full on just turned on a dime, or one of the gods' flips of a coin, and went full psycho last episode. There's also the case to be made that now that the two most powerful women in the series, Cersei and Dany, have both become antagonists, we're now left with a conclusion in which white male savior Jon Snow kills Dany and takes the throne, or abolishes it, or whatever. And that's just a bit bland. Really, at best, we might get tomboy Arya doing the deed. And considering that Dany is probably the standout character from the series overall, and the one that viewers around the world have identified most keenly with, this sudden turn to the dark side, which, while an effective emotional gut punch, has been the cause of this public outcry and calls for the series to be reshot. So maybe it wasn't the greatest idea. Then again though, it is the final episode tonight, so that may all change. Not exactly sure how we walk back the I burned thousands of innocents thing, but we'll see. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment down below letting us know what you think the worst mistake in this series of Game of Thrones was. And head on over there to see myself, Chopper, and SoCal Val discuss our predictions for the final episode of Game of Thrones, including who will end up on the Iron Throne. I've been Laurie Blake, and remember, we're watching.